In the last video, we have studied the plum pudding model given by J.J. Thomson, and soon after he came up with his model, after some time, there was another guy called Rutherford, and Ernest Rutherford, and he conducted a gold foil experiment. His students conducted a gold foil experiment, and in this video, let us quickly have a look at that experiment. So it was called the gold foil experiment, and this thing was done by Mr. Rutherford, right? And let us now just briefly go through the experimental setup and how exactly he did the experiment, and in the coming videos we'll look at the results and expectations and the results. So let's just quickly go through the experiment. So what he had done was he had taken a source of alpha particles. So alpha particles are nothing but giant particles, right? They are pretty heavy particles, and so he had taken a source of alpha particles. So let's say this is the source here. So this is the source of alpha particles, and so the alpha particles are shot from this, and he had placed a very thin gold foil. So he had taken a thin sheet of gold, and it was very, very thin. So he had chosen gold because gold can be made into a very thin sheet, and this was just around 1,000 atoms thick. So that's very, very thick. That's very, very thin actually. And he had put this let me just draw the support also. So he had, so there's nothing but just the supports to hold the gold foil in place. So this is the gold foil right here, and you have the source of the alpha particles here, and behind the gold foil actually he had made such kind of an arrangement. So this is nothing but a screen, and what the screen does is, so I'll just tell you that in a moment. I hope you get the idea, right? This thing's not working now. Yeah, so you get the idea. So there was a screen around it, and this source shot alpha particles, large size particles, and those alpha particles came in this direction. So the alpha particles came in this direction towards the gold foil, and they would hit the gold foil obviously, and then as they pass through or whatever they do, so if they pass through and let's say hit the gold foil, they hit the screen at this point here, as soon as any alpha particle would hit the screen, there would be a spark. So that is a pretty simple experiment. And so using this experiment setup, Rutherford was trying to confirm and study the structure of atoms and confirm Thomson's model. So yeah, so he would shoot alpha particles towards the gold foil, the very, very thin gold foil, and this screen would just detect the location at which the alpha particle would reach after passing through the gold foil. So if it hits here, there would be a spark here. If it hits here, there would be a spark there, and so on and so forth. And this is the basic setup of Rutherford. So the screen was there just to record as to where the alpha particles are hitting. And so this was the basic setup, and Rutherford did this experiment and let it run for some time. And what he did was he counted. So first of all, so if let's say something some particle just went straight through, so that had zero angle of deflection because it did not deflect at all. But let's say if something deflected, let's say by this angle, so then he just measured this angle and counted as to how many particles were deflected by this angle, and then he ran this experiment for some time and made measurements. So in this video we'll just look at the experimental setup. So I hope the experimental setup is pretty clear to you. In the next video, let us first understand what Rutherford was expecting and what we should expect from such an experiment, and in the video after that we will have a look at the real results of this experiment and see how was it different or same to the expected results. So that's it for this video.